Welcome. It's the Close the Deal Show. I'm your host, Terrence McCray, formerly incarcerated. Every week, we bring you business information, tips, and insights from entrepreneurs, business professionals, and inspired individuals from the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond. The Close the Deal Show also features public announcement, Entrepreneur Week, and small business. And if you're looking for strategies to help you in business or educate the public, then you're in the right place. Thanks for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest who's going to talk about visual arts. This is the first time I've had a guest on the show to actually talk about something that I don't know much about, as far as visual arts goes, but what I do know about is transitioning because being formerly incarcerated and transitioning back into society, I had to find my niche. I had to find something that I enjoyed doing. And this woman today, Vanita Lee-Tatum, is going to talk about how she transformed from corporate America as a VP in banking to visual arts. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Close the Deal Show, Mrs. Vanita Lee-Tatum. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Vanita, what brought you to the show?
Well, the two of us, we connected. I was learning more about your work via LinkedIn and had the opportunity to come on and share a little bit more about what I'm doing.
Could you explain to the audience your background, former background?
Yes, so as you mentioned, I'm a former business banker. I was at the VP level in my career, came through the ranks of top financial institutions, and I experienced a moment of stillness where I had to get clear on what my next steps would be. Something within was bubbling, and I had to give myself the opportunity to make a transition. I discovered that I had a talent in art. I'm a natural entrepreneur. I've worked with entrepreneurs my entire career, and so it just became natural for me to step out on my own and develop some new things, and here we are.
So, in your background in finance, what companies did you work for previously?
I started my career with Wells Fargo, and then I was recruited. I worked with Chase Bank and all in the Bay Area. Bank of America, I was a VP for small business banking and a corporate liaison.
What was the day-to-day operations like that?
So I was in the field primarily working with small businesses. I'm from Oakland and I covered that territory. And so it was really a joy to get out there and be a part of the community. I was the face of the bank and just had an opportunity to help people realize their dreams and achieve their goals.
So, what motivated you to move away from this career job to visual arts?
Well, once I had plateaued in my career, I felt that I achieved all of my goals. I didn't understand where to go from there. I was at the top of my game, and I felt empty, and I didn't understand it. So,
Explain to me. I had to stop you right there. Excuse me. Explain to me what does it look like being on the top of your game?
for me, it means that I have the freedom and the opportunity to live the life of my dreams and my desires. For me, that included being able to transcend poverty and become economically empowered, to earn a six-figure salary, travel the world, be a provider for my daughter. I was a single mom at the time, she's now 12 years old, a girl, and wanting to be her strongest role model, wanting to give back to my community and have that autonomy, have a voice. And so for me, that was definitely living at the top.
Well, could you explain? Because, see, right here on the Close the Deal Show, we like to provide tips
Yes.
and directions and strategies. Could you explain to someone that's watching this right now how to prepare for this opportunity? Because I'm quite sure there's someone who's sitting in the same shoes that you once were, trying to figure it all out.
Yes.
And you were able to figure it out. Could you
Yes.
explain that?
I have some tips. There's three things that I would like to share. The first thing is that we need to find the courage to face our fears. For myself, I had a fear of being broke, living in poverty, being impoverished, not having access to the opportunities that I dreamed. And so I had to, in order to make the transition from corporate America, having those securities that I had established for myself through that channel, I had to be willing to give that up in a sense. So that was a fear for me, but I had to overcome it. The way I overcame it was realizing that I was still Vanita. No matter what I do, I'm going to be successful. I was successful at this. What do I want to do next? I will be successful at that. And overcoming that fear, I decided to invest in myself. I pursued a lot of financial education for myself. I'm providing that to clients as a banker, but for myself, I had to learn, and I decided to invest in real estate. And I did that early in my career, and it really enabled me to be able to step away because I had investments, I had savings. My savings saved me. That's not an original quote. I heard that at Currency Conversations.
Okay.
But my savings saved me. I was able to essentially direct my own ship, if you will.
So when you say your savings save you, like at a pivotal point in your career, what did you invest in that said, okay, this is where I'm going to put this money at because 5 years from now, I see myself being able to live off that, even though I'm transitioning from VP in banking to now visual arts?
Absolutely. I have a great story to tell. In 2016, just recently, a few years ago, that's when this all began. And I was fortunate enough to get an investment property in another market. And I got in, I did my homework and did my education. And before I knew it, I was in a position where that market started to grow. It was the Chico market. They had a slow economic recovery compared to the Bay Area from the early 2000s. And so by the time I made it back up there, I went to undergrad in Chico, and I wanted to invest. The opportunity was ripe, and I was in a great position, and so I did. And we all know about the campfires that happened here recently. I was considering exiting that market because of the impact that that experience would have. And a twist of events, I was able to get a cash offer for that investment, and that enabled me to pursue the dreams that I had. For example, I had a dream to work less than full time. I was a workaholic. All I did was work. That's why I was so exhausted and so tired.
How many hours would you put in a day?
Day and night, I was working. I was networking. I was working in the office. I was working in the field. I was just nonstop. So I wasn't truly caring for myself and creating the balance that I needed to be holistically healthy. And I realized that, and that's why I took that break.
Okay. So I want to show a little of your art. Could you describe some of your art right here on your website, and could you let the viewers know where your art is in your gallery?
Absolutely. So I'm doing a couple things here. So you're on my site. I'm a Raw artist. Raw is an organization for indie artists. I've been part of Raw San Francisco and exhibiting my work. And my work comes from a place of pure emotion. I mentioned earlier that I needed to step away from the industry. I took a sabbatical, and that's when I began to paint. I didn't have art as an educational background. I have an MBA. I'm a business person. I didn't understand how to tap into my creativity. But in this space, I started to learn, and I just started to pour my emotions out on canvas. And there aren't typically images in my work, but it's just a lot of feeling. I channel a lot of emotion, and I use that for healing purposes and for manifestation purposes. As a result, my entire life has changed. So I'm actually now an art curator. So from VP business banker to art curator, I curate the gallery, the Jean Olay Galleria at City Hall in downtown Hayward, and I'm on the board for the Hayward Arts Council, and I do a lot within my local community there.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
It's a phenomenal experience. You know, I'm doing everything I love. I'm meeting new people. I'm learning new things. I'm getting exposure. I'm giving back. It just satisfies all of my desires, and so I'm really fortunate to be in that space.
So, if you had an opportunity to speak before some kids and before they went off to college, what would you share with them about visual arts?
It's funny that you mentioned that. I've just accepted an opportunity to teach entrepreneurship at Mount Eden High School in Hayward through a program called Eden Area RLP and through a curriculum called NEFTE, which is Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. And I plan to tell my students, first of all, they have to start this journey of self-discovery. They have to overcome their fears of our insecurities that we all have because we're in this human experience. Understanding what roadblocks we deem to stand in the way of where we want to go, and giving ourselves the courage and the wherewithal to overcome that. I will talk to them about finance. Absolutely. I just can't help myself. I plan to educate my students around business banking and investing. They need to find out who they are so that they can find the courage to be themselves. As an entrepreneur, you are the brand. Every bank I worked for, I was the brand. It was Vanita that the clients wanted to work with. I was bringing myself and my passion to those various communities, and that's why I was able to achieve success by being who I was.
So define brand, because some people misconstrue that. And to me, your personality tells a lot about your brand.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that being self-identified, discovering and deciding how we want to present ourselves in the world, how we want to show up and how we want to be seen, telling our own story, creating that narrative, and making sure that our thoughts and our beliefs are articulated and displayed in all that we do. And that could be evolving and changing a lot. I didn't understand that I was such a dynamic person with all these various interests. I didn't know how to just be in one lane because I have so many interests and so many talents, and we all do, but finding the courage to really explore that and pursue it.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing how you reach the level of understanding, right? And coming to terms with yourself.
Absolutely.
And facing your fears.
Yes.
You know, so it's like you just explained my next question, unfortunately, but I still have to ask you. Define economic empowerment.
I think that it starts with education, understanding some of the things that go beyond just our bank account. If we can talk about race for a moment, understanding the impacts that certain racial groups have experienced and why there may be obstacles for one group that are different from another. Understanding
Do we make that an excuse?
We can never make it an excuse. What we should do is use it as a stepping stone, understanding that this is part of the game. Let's play it. These are my obstacles. No problem. I'm going to find out how I can get over them and get through it because this is where I'm going.
So it's chess.
All day.
Okay, definitely. So what's interesting to me is the fact that you're sharing these tips, you're giving direction, and you're providing insight from your own experience.
Yes.
But one of the things that curious me the most is, how do you sustain it?
I sustain it by creating balance in mind, body, and business.
Okay.
You know, that's where it started for me. That's what this is all about. When it's all business, then my spirit, my creativity may be suffering. I'm not having that outlet. When I'm working too much, I'm not resting, getting my beauty rest and restoring my physical body and taking care of my emotions, understanding what hardships I had to overcome and not letting those things keep a hold on me, but rather referencing the past to reach a higher height for my future. So really just creating balance. We have to spend time alone, getting to know who we are. There's one thing to just be on the go, but every great person has to step on the road to success. You have to step away and you have to figure out who you are, what you want, what you don't want. I'm very clear about that now. At first it was just about, for me, money. That was my total motivation. I'm still money motivated all day.
Okay.
However, I understand that I have to create this balance if I really want to achieve a holistic version of success for myself. And that involves taking care of me.
Okay, so you spoke earlier about several challenges that you had to overcome to make this transition. Okay, one was fear, and now it's clear that it was the issue with money. Okay,
Absolutely.
so right now, after having years of experience in the last 3 years or maybe more, not only doing what you love, right? What challenges do you find, breaking barriers because you didn't just start off being an artist? You found it as a healing process.
Yes.
So what challenges do you find right now at this moment that you deal with?
In terms of being an artist?
Correct.
Well, just like in anything, there's always an opportunity to have self-doubt. Maybe I don't have an art degree or an art background. I don't have that education or that experience. I don't see it as an obstacle. I see it as an opportunity, and I'm comfortable with that. I always say I'm new to this industry. What can I learn? What can I do? And people respond to that versus me coming in doubting myself. People will respond to me in that way if that's my approach. So people are mirroring what's going on inside of me, and that's that great curiosity. My talent and my skills, just like everyone else, can translate to anything that I do. I should be able to thrive in any environment that I place myself in because I understand what my strengths are. In terms of obstacles and challenges, just know that they're going to be there. Every great champion has to overcome them. We would have no story to tell without them. You understand? So that's kind of where I am with it.
You have a remarkable story, but I have to ask you this. Will you be willing to come back on the show and explain more of your wellness?
Absolutely. I can talk all day. I wish we had 3 hours to really lay it out, and I would love to come back and talk more. My message is for people to love themselves and overcome. And we have to love ourselves as business people as well. I couldn't separate this Vanita from the business Vanita. It's all one Vanita. And that's what I learned, to be one person.
Well, how can people learn more of not just your story, but your empowerment?
Reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at Artist Vanita. It's a great way to connect. I use LinkedIn as a powerful networking tool to reach my audience and to communicate my views and share my knowledge. Vanita Lee-Tatum, MBA on LinkedIn.
Well, Vanita, it was not only a pleasure of just having you on today's show, but I look forward to seeing you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Before we close this deal, we would love to hear from you, but most importantly, if you want to learn about finance, definitely you want to purchase this book, Jason Matthews on Amazon.com, The Age of Self-Reliance. If you have suggestions, okay, or even want to apply to be a guest on the Close the Deal show, San Francisco Bay Area viewers and beyond, because we just don't limit ourselves. We also in Los Angeles, California. Find us every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. on cable Comcast, channel 29, or you can go online and watch us at 29.SFC.TV. Worldwide, you can find the Close the Deal show on YouTube. Just type my name, Terrence McCray, click my picture. Please subscribe, like, and comment on your favorite episode. Take good care, everyone, and don't forget, find the right connection and close the deal.